It's 5 o'clock on a Friday, the 19th of November, and you're just in time for Drive Time from River West. My name is Martin Hallinger, and I have Peter with me. Hello, Peter. Last hour, I did about 35 minutes talking about Kyle Rittenhouse, and I'm curious, how do you interpret the news, Peter?
Oh, I don't know if I have anything original to say. It's disappointing and expected, I guess. Although I have to admit, the last week or so, I allowed myself to be a little more confident that maybe one or two of the charges would stick. Maybe one of the lesser charges that the judge allowed at the last minute. Yeah, I think I fell into a little bit of false optimism. So I was a little bit surprised today, actually, even though 2 weeks ago or more, even longer, I was predicting with you on Drive Time that, yeah, he was going to walk. So disappointed, of course. I think the most important point that you've been hammering home several times over the last couple of weeks is how this gives a license to vigilantes. You can just see the parades of trucks with Confederate flags, running around tonight, beeping their horns and being excited. So they're going to take this as a win. So that's upsetting. And then the comparison, again, this is not original, but it's kind of top of my concerns, is that it's just a further confirmation that we're a racist nation. This is all about race. As you quoted earlier, imagine if this was a BLM supporter who shot up a bunch of people in a MAGA rally. How do you suppose the verdict would have been then?
Right.
It's crazy.
And I mean, imagine anywhere where there's an active shooter and you try to disarm them, and now they feel threatened and they have the right to shoot you.
Exactly. You go in, you cause the trouble in the first place, and then use your crybaby excuse. Oh, well, they were going to take my gun. And here's another thing. The prosecutor, the defense, did they actually convince the jury of this one point when he said he was certain that the people after him would have taken his gun and shot him with it? Now, do you, Martin, or do any of our listeners think for 1 second that any of those people would have shot Kyle Rittenhouse with his own gun? No, of course not. They were out there protesting for peace. They would have taken his gun, they would have unloaded it, and they would have given it to the police. Nobody was going to shoot Kyle Rittenhouse with his own gun. That's insane. And yet they used that as a defense.
Yes. And again, the reason I also, I was optimistic because I thought, okay, Wisconsin state law says you can't have it be that you are the cause of why you think you have to defend yourself. That was the one point that, I was like, well, all these experts, maybe they just aren't familiar with Wisconsin law or something. But no. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to hear if any of the jurists talk about it.
I'd be very curious to hear what they have to say.
And I feel like probably there's a chance, rather, I don't know the probability of it. There's a chance just because this happens in other times where the jurors were not allowed to see certain evidence that would have swayed them to justice. And they speak out about it because they have to live with themselves, right? And then, at least their friends and family, I mean, they have to keep this very quiet. Right. So that, or they have to come up with how they actually feel about it.
Well, they're free now. They're free to speak to their families. They're free to speak to reporters. They don't have to keep quiet anymore.
Right. And
I'll be very curious to know what they have to say.
Yes. When they find out that how Rittenhouse got bail. Right? Who gave him that bail? When they find out what he did as an underage person, which is not the point, at a bar, and how he felt about his victims.
Yep. So in hindsight, you're right. I hear what you're saying. After they learn those things, I wonder how they're going to feel. That's a great question. Yeah. And that brings me to something else. I think I did a whole half hour on it recently. Because those of you who don't know, Peter Donalds and Charles Purcell are the same person. If I can let that let that secret out. Um, I did a long commentary about how the law itself is so complicated, it's so convoluted, it's so Rube Goldberged that really anybody can find anything they want in the law and get the predetermined result they want. I think our laws are way too intricate. They're way too complicated. There has to be more, we kept hearing the word reasonable. How many times did we hear the word reasonable during that court proceeding? Well, I think we have to take that a little more seriously. We can't just look at the intricate letter of the law because it is too manipulable. It's like looking at the damn Bible. You can find whatever you want and justify what you already believe. Our laws are way too complicated. The jury instructions took an hour to read, and I think you can come in with a predisposed idea and find whatever you want.
Yes. Yep. And it's called using the law for your side, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I'm not sure how to say this exactly, but I saw somebody's opinion piece was talking about how the way the justice system was set up, it is not, it is not blind justice, right? Because the laws were made up by white people protecting white interests. For whatever terms it was made up for gun owners, right? Where because violent people have rights and the means to act violent. I'm not sure how to say that. But
you're the last generation who's going to be able to believe that or even understand it, because state after state is passing laws that allow only patriotic history.
Right. If that, God, and it's funny because our history was already leaning that way anyway. You can't have it. It already was protective of fourth and fifth graders. You can't have it. You can't talk about George Washington owning slaves. You can't talk about him having artificial teeth that are made with gems and slaves' teeth.
Right.
Colin Kaepernick tweeted 3 hours ago, "We just witnessed a system built on white supremacy validate the terroristic acts of a white supremacist. This only further validates the need to abolish our current system. White supremacy cannot be reformed." And that sounds, that's the end of Colin Kaepernick's tweet. And that seems like too much work. We're not the sort of people like our founding fathers were that can have a vision, a drive, and I'll give them this, a pure motive, right? As you're leaving a nation ruled by kings and you go, that's not the way we want to do it. And you come up with something, and then just as Jesus could have said things a lot differently, the founding fathers could have said things a lot differently if they had the benefit of foresight to where the country would go over the next 200 plus years.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what our governor said. It's only 4 paragraphs, but it'll probably take me a minute and a half to read. So Governor Evers releases statement regarding Rittenhouse verdict. Tony Evers, let's jump right to it. No verdict will be able to bring back the lives of Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum or heal Gage Grosenkopf's injuries, just as no verdict can heal the wounds or trauma experienced by Jacob Blake and his family. No ruling today changes our reality in Wisconsin that we have to work to do towards equality, accountability, and justice that communities across our state are demanding and deserve. Kenotians are strong, resilient, and have spent the last year working every day to get toward healing. This case and the resulting national spotlight on Kenosha community and our state have undoubtedly reopened wounds that have not yet fully healed. I echo the calls of local Kenosha community leaders and join them in asking everyone who might choose to assemble and exercise their First Amendment rights in any community to please only do so safely and peacefully. We must have peace in Kenosha and our communities, and any efforts or actions aimed at sowing divisions are unwelcome in our state, as they will only hinder that healing. I've seen the pain and frustration of so many, and we must remain steadfast in our commitment to ending violence in our communities, supporting victims and survivors as they heal from trauma, and rooting out the disparities that we often inextricably link to that violence and trauma. We must be unwavering in our promise to build a state where every kid, person, and family can live their life free of violence and have every chance to be successful. We must move forward together, more united and more motivated to build the sort of future we want for our state. One that is just, one that is equitable, and one where every person has the resources and opportunity to thrive, and we will not stop working to achieve that vision.
Are you done?
Well, he forgot just to say platitudes.
In the words of the great Greta Thunberg, blah, blah, blah.
Expletive, blah, blah, blah.
It's just, that is so boilerplate.
Yeah.
And I got to point out, once again, I've pointed it out before, what did he say? He asked those exercising their First Amendment rights to be peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
And that just pisses me off, because those exercising their First Amendment rights have always been peaceful all through the summer of 2020 and through all of Kenosha. The people who aren't peaceful are the cops. They're the counter protesters. They're the Kyle Rittenhouses of the world, the vigilantes, the troublemakers, the arsonists. Those are the people who are violent. People exercising their First Amendment rights are not violent. So for Governor Evers to single them out and ask them to be nonviolent really angers me and shows me that he doesn't even understand what's going on. And President Biden did the exact same thing in his official statement today, asking protesters to be peaceful. Protesters are peaceful just by definition, by nature, by history. We know that they've been peaceful. So talk to the cops, talk to the neo-Confederates, talk to the racists, ask them to be peaceful.
Yeah, go ahead and give a statement to the police. Right? Give a statement to the police and say, hey, all you policing, I want you to not only protect but to serve. And not only that, we need you not to encourage white supremacists. We need you not to cause people to have to act in self-defense of their civil rights. Don't encourage people to have to fight against you because you are not doing your job.
Yeah.
Although
asking protesters to be peaceful. I'm so tired of that song. It's just wrong.
It's like
it shows a lack of understanding.
Right. If this was 30 years ago, white people, we need you to stop killing people and cannibalizing them. Nope, that was just Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Okay, wait.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Right. But there is this thing of people that are committing crimes are criminals and they should not do that. When we're talking about peaceful protesting, like you say, by the very definition, that's what they are.
Right.
And if someone does start committing crimes, right, we can say, oh, hey, all you peaceful protesters, not only please don't loot, please do not be arsonists, please do not litter, please do not kill people, please do not commit white collar crime, and so on, right? We can have this whole list of all the things that we don't want you to do that. But why, as foolish as I am saying that, is peaceful protesters, please go ahead and exercise your First Amendment right. Period.
Yeah.
Period. That's it.
And police, please protect them. That's your job.
Right. Don't
troublemakers.
Yes.
Stay home, troublemakers. Yeah. I had a notion of jumping in my car when I heard the verdict. I thought I'd drive down to Kenosha.
Yeah.
Just add my warm body to the streets.
Yeah, and I'm sure that today there were some assault-style rifles that were sold to people that heard this verdict and thought, "Oh, okay, I get it now. I understand the rules. I understand that if I have an assault-style rifle and a strap, I'm still at danger of somebody taking that from me and shooting me and everyone else with it.
Yeah.
And so all I have to do is wait for somebody to say the F word at me. Because, oh, wait, wow, that's assault. Where's the battery? I don't know, because I don't really understand the rules, but I understand the law as it can be extrapolated today by this verdict. Is if anyone even tries to reach for my gun, I can shoot them. And as long as justice is justice for everyone, then I will walk free.
Yeah. George Zimmerman is probably celebrating tonight. He's probably having a little party with his friends.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what he did. He created the danger with Trayvon Martin. He created the threat. And he brought the gun. Yeah. And then let's see. And then he gets off on self-defense, just like Kyle Rittenhouse did.
And let's see if politics matters or if voting matters. Let's see a tweet from Senator Ron Johnson from 4 hours ago.
Oh, Lord.
I believe justice has been served in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. I hope everyone can accept the verdict, remain peaceful, and let the community of Kenosha heal and rebuild. Okay, well, let's see. Gubernatorial candidate Rebecca Kleefisch. She tweeted...
Red fish, blue fish, green fish, Kleefisch.
So you make me like her like I like a Dr. Seuss book when you say that. It's like, wait a second. What sort of cool instrument does she play?
She's one of the bad Dr. Seuss books.
Yeah, wait. All right, so Rebecca Kleefisch tweeted 4 hours ago, our justice system worked today. The prosecution of Kyle Rittenhouse trial was a complete disgrace, praising the mob who burned our streets as heroes. Wait, what did she say?
That's not surprising.
Let me just wait. I just hadn't heard this angle. So let me read Kleefisch's whole tweet. Our justice system worked today. Sentence 1. The last sentence. The prosecution in Kyle Rittenhouse trial was a complete disgrace, praising the mob who burned our streets as heroes. Huh. So she's qualified to run for governor. Interesting, because she says that there was a mob that as one burned our streets and are called heroes. I wonder, is English her first language?
Well, she's doing exactly what Biden and Governor Evers have done. They're equating the protesters with the arsonists and violence creators, the mob. So Rosenbaum and Huber and Rosekreutz were all part of the mob. They were all arsonists. They were all rioters.
Right.
According to her worldview. And in a softer way, that's exactly what Biden and Evers are doing as well, which is why it pisses me off so much.
So according to that same sort of logic, Rebecca Kleefisch believes that all of America was founded in slavery. I'm just guessing.
Elaborate on that?
Well, because, we know they had slave owners, and I'm just going to say all of them. Every single American had slaves, and they all raped and abused their slaves.
According to her logic. And so America is I'm going to say, just going by the Bible, it was a bad country, according to Rebecca Kleefisch's logic. And according to Reverend, what was Obama's Reverend's name? I forgot his name. God bless America, not God bless America, God damn America. Okay. That guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I forgot his name.
Reverend Wright.
Right.
Is it Wright?
With a W. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
With an R. Representative Gwen Moore tweeted 4 hours ago, a system that legitimizes vigilante murder is deeply broken. Yes, vigilantes. This is Representative Gwen Moore.
Oh, okay.
The ACLU of Wisconsin tweeted, this situation represents an outrageous failure to protect protesters by the Kenosha Police Department and the Kenosha County Sheriff's Office.
There you go.
ACLU, man, that is well put because
And we've already heard there's already suits in the works. I think from I forget which of the families they are suing the city of Kenosha and law enforcement. They're not suing Rittenhouse.
Yep.
They're suing Kenosha,
Let's see.
and I'll bet they win or get a really big settlement.
Yeah, it seems like all you have to do is show some videos if the judge will allow it. Them saying, "We really appreciate you guys. Here's some water." But yeah,
it'll be a civil suit, so it'll work a little differently, and
right.
it won't be Schrader.
Yes. Let's see. Senator Tammy Baldwin has a longer statement here. Let's see. Actually, it's about as long as Evers. What do you think? Yeah, let's just do it. It's 5:24 right now. You're listening to Drive Time from River West, and of course, we're talking like a lot of people are about the Rittenhouse trial, where he was not guilty on 5 counts. So the statement on the verdict of the Rittenhouse trial by Senator Baldwin. Here are the facts that are most important to me. Kyle Rittenhouse, who was a minor at the time, traveled from Illinois to Wisconsin and picked up an assault rifle that was illegally purchased for him. He took the law into his own hands, killing 2 people and injuring another. There were victims of gun violence, and too many families have lost loved ones to these tragedies. I understand why people believe that justice was not served in this case, because I feel the same way. This ruling makes it clear we have so much work to do to take on gun violence and reform our broken criminal system so that it starts working equally and fairly for everyone. In Wisconsin, this judge has now ruled that it's legal for a minor to walk the streets in Wisconsin with an assault weapon. If that is true, then our state legislator should take action now in bipartisan way to change that law and make it illegal. I'm afraid many more people will become victims of gun violence unless we take action to the federal and state level to pass common sense gun safety reforms to take on this epidemic and start saving lives. To me, that's just common sense, and that most people in our state would agree with. The fact that some people are cheering a ruling that has allowed someone to take the law into his own hands and walk free from any accountability after shooting and killing 2 people is disgraceful to the lives that were lost, and I'm deeply concerned that it will encourage more tragic gun violence from those like Kyle Rittenhouse who think they have a license to take the law into their own hands in a violent way. To those who protest this ruling, I strongly urge them to do so safely and peacefully, because no one wants to see what happened last year happen again. I have met with community leaders, business owners, and racial justice activists in Kenosha a number of times since the police shooting of Jacob Blake, and I know that the entire Kenosha community has gone through a lot of heartbreak, and that the work for healing, peace, and justice continues. I continue to stand with Kenosha as we work together to move forward together. And that's a statement by Senator Tammy Baldwin. Let's see what else we have here. Speaker Robin Voss. He tweeted, let's see, it's a 2-parter here. I need to have Jeopardy-style music for the internet slowly opening up things. La 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 la.
I like Tammy Baldwin's statement only because that didn't sound boilerplate. Maybe a little bit at the end.
No, yeah, but I mean, just the last paragraph.
Yeah, she actually made a point. She made several good points.
It's legal for underage children to have assault weapons and take justice in their own hands.
Yeah. So good for Tammy Baldwin and good for Gwen Moore. Make a point. Make a statement. Don't just have your staff put together this boilerplate, fill in the blanks kind of Mad Lib sort of statement. I don't have any respect for that.
Let's hear what Speaker Robin Voss tweeted. Today's unanimous verdict may be shocking for some, but for many others, it is proof our justice system works. The right to a trial by a jury of your peers is a fundamental part of the checks and balances in our country. Let's hope politicians and activists who disagree with this verdict don't use this opportunity to sow more division and destruction in our community. For those disappointed by the outcome, I urge peace and unity over violence and destruction. Okay. And
that's more boilerplate.
Yeah.
And of course, he agreed with the verdict, so that means the system works.
Yes.
Let's go back into the archives and find any statement he had to make after a verdict he didn't like.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do Congressman Brian Stiles' statement. As I stated last year, I encourage our community to be calm and express their views lawfully and peacefully. We have seen the horrors of destruction in Kenosha, and it is my top priority to promote public safety by working with our local officials, law enforcement officers, and our entire community. As we move forward, we must support each other and stand against violence or destruction. The trial has made it clear when authorities fail to utilize appropriate resources to protect public safety, violence and destruction often follows. The destruction in Kenosha did not need to occur. The events covered in the trial were avoidable if proper steps were taken last summer to establish public safety. That's a more complicated little statement. The thing that strikes me is the destruction in Kenosha. This is one of those.
There was destruction in Kenosha.
Yes, but not the murders aren't really brought up here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's the destruction. It is the love of what money builds. Let's see.
Yeah.
And when we've got Francesca Hong, the state representative of the 76th Assembly District, I send my love and prayers to the families of Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, and Gage Grosskopf, and the people of Kenosha. Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer, and justice was not served today. His acquittal speaks volumes to the privilege of whiteness in America. The horrendous verdict affirms that our legal institutions uphold and perpetuate white violence, and that must not continue to be our status quo. We cannot exist in this holding pattern, where those with the power to heal are opting instead to embolden white supremacy. We are shaken. We are broken. To all in pain today, especially the people of Kenosha, I am with you and I am sorry. Again, that's State Representative Francesca Hong. And let's see, Sarah Galuski said it is outrageous that there will be no justice and no accountability for the deaths of Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum, or the shooting of Gage Grosskopf. Let's see, that's a longer one. I'm going to skip that because it might take forever. Instead, let's see what State Senator Chris Larson statement was from today. The verdict in the trial of Rittenhouse was disappointing, but sadly not unexpected. Even if Rittenhouse was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to the fullest extent of the law, it would not undo the damage that was done to Kenosha or our nation. Nothing can bring back the people he killed. The deep divisions in our country, highlighted by those who saw Rittenhouse as a hero versus those who saw him as a monster, cannot be healed overnight, but heal we must. It is my sincere belief in justice. It is my sincere belief that in justice we will find peace. Justice was not served today, and it's on all of us to try to change the system so that this horrible situation isn't allowed to repeat itself. Let us not forget why the teenager from Illinois was in Kenosha in the first place. Peaceful protests in the wake of a reckless and unnecessary shooting of Jacob Blake, a black man, by Kenosha police, had in some corners turned violent. Right-wing profiteers used the violence to stoke fear and reinforce racial stereotypes among white Americans, causing the then 17-year-old Rittenhouse to show up in Kenosha, heavily armed and, in his own mind at least, doing the work that law enforcement was either unwilling or unable to do. Hours later, 2 people were dead, another wounded, And the kid who appeared to surrender to authorities shortly after the shooting was on his way back home to Illinois. A year later, Rittenhouse, now an adult in the eye of the law, is going home again. This time after being exonerated in court of any wrongdoing for the very killings he himself admitted he performed. Where do we go from here? And how can we finally achieve the goals we all profess to hold dear, those of justice and peace? In my view, it is only in true justice that we can ever hope to find true peace. But what is true justice? Justice is all people, regardless of race, creed, sexuality, gender identity, or national origin, having equal opportunity to achieve the American dream. And that, again, is the statement by State Senator Chris Larson. This is nice. There is some variety. These aren't all boilerplate, different variations of thoughts and prayer nonsense.
Yeah, I respect that one a lot. Absolutely.
Representative Lee Snodgrass tweeted, "I'm disappointed by the conduct during and outcome of the Rittenhouse trial. There are two justice systems in this country, one for white men and one for black men. White men with guns go free, and black men minding their own business wind up dead. May Kenosha stay safe."
Or white boys or black boys with toy guns, or black boys with Skittles.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of... Yeah, all right, let's see some more here. Alex Lasky. Let's skip him. We'll go to... here, let's see here. Adam Jerko. He's running for Wisconsin Attorney General. He tweeted, "If I'm elected Wisconsin Attorney General, I will open an investigation into the Rittenhouse prosecution. The nation just watched a political prosecution of a young man. It is terrifying that this can happen in America. We must get to the bottom of this so it never happens again."
Wow. Wow.
So, wait, I'm confused by
Kyle
this.
Rittenhouse was a political prisoner.
Yes.
Prosecuted by by a fascist prosecution.
The nation just watched a political prosecution of a young man. Huh.
Wow.
So that's Adam Jarko, who is running for Wisconsin Attorney General. Yeah. So, I mean, if you agree with that statement, obviously, you've got someone to vote for.
Jesus.
Let's see. So Tom Nelson. I'm not sure who Tom Nelson is here. Let me see. Hopefully he makes a statement of what he's running for.
There got to be about 1,000 Tom Nelsons in Wisconsin.
So Tom Nelson, husband, father of two, progressive executive in Red County, running for U.S. Senate, ready to beat Ron Johnson and do the job he refuses to do, is who this particular...
I haven't even heard of this guy.
No, so let's see what he says. There's no place for vigilantism in our country. Unfortunately, the verdict quitting Rittenhouse sends a different message. It will encourage other misguided individuals fueled by extremist groups and media to perform similar acts. There's no question that Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum would still be alive had Rittenhouse not been president in Kenosha. The fact that Rittenhouse has become a hero to the extreme nationalists in our country is both disheartening and dangerous. The verdict will only empower them. Regardless of political beliefs, we, as Americans, cannot tolerate violent actions by citizens against others exercising their right to assemble. When a lawful assembly gets out of control, it is the job of law enforcement and other local and state authorities to deal with it in a controlled and trained manner. The idea that any armed individual can assert themselves into a law enforcement scenario is danger to our citizens, law enforcement, and our National Guard. It's funny, he brings National Guard into it. Let's see if there's names I recognize. We're getting to the bottom of the list. Oh, by the way,
this has a real chilling effect on future uses or people trying to exercise their First Amendment rights and their right to assemble, because it seems like every protest going forward now is going to include this insurgency. It's going to include this vigilante cohort joining in every time. I mean, it's part of the rich history of the United States to have protests. I mean, imagine the Great Women's March of 2017, January of 2017, if it had been infiltrated by a bunch of a bunch of Kyle Rittenhouses.
Yeah, people
Is
with
that going to
guns.
be is that going to be every protest now going forward, regardless of what the issue is? It's going to be filled with counter protesters, which of course they have their right to, but they're not going to be just counter protesters. They're going to be armed vigilantes.
Yes, and this would mean the logical thing to do, and I'm obviously not advocating this, but apparently everyone should have a gun, right?
I mean, seriously, are we ever going to have a regular protest again, like this country's seen for the last 200 years?
We'll have to look up
I don't know.
because I get confused because like part of it is like I just don't even want to believe stuff. It's hard for me to retain things like which states is it legal to hit a protester in the street that is performing civil disobedience and hit them with the car.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
And it's not clear, like, how hard can you hit them? Is this, can you murder them? Can you roll over them a couple of times? What is it?
Yeah. Right.
So Common Council President Cavalier Johnson statement is today's verdict in Kenosha shows that we are toward, that shows that the arc towards justice is still bending. How in good conscience can an individual cross lines to protect property that he wasn't asked to protect with a weapon he shouldn't have had, shoot 3 people, 2 of them fatally, and suffer no consequences for those actions? Is this the Wisconsin we've built? I suggest that as a state we should reimagine who we are and think about how our justice system works for everyone. Kenosha's heart has ached for too long. I'm praying for the healing and peace across Wisconsin and across our great country. Again, that's Common Council member Cavalier Johnson.
I'm not 100% behind all these calls for healing and peace. No justice, no peace.
Yep.
To coin a phrase, no justice, no peace. Chant it with me, Martin. No justice. No peace.
I'm never good at chanting with people. It always makes me feel like
I'm not
like I don't want to jump on every bandwagon going by. I might agree with you, but if it has consequences, then I would be for it. But yeah.
But you get my point.
Absolutely.
No justice, no peace.
Right.
I mean, I understand, of course, why people are calling for peace and calm. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with a little bit of righteous anger.
Right. You've got a cut on your leg. We need you to heal in peace. Oh, I'm also punching you in the face. We need peace and we need time to heal. I'm also kicking you in the back. We need healing and we need peace. I'm also punching your mother and kicking your father in the teeth. But we need to have healing and we need peace.
And we need to look forward.
Yeah, we need progress. Yeah. And also, I've burned down your house, but you need to heal, and we need to have peace.
Yeah, I look forward, not backward.
No,
that's the January 6th argument. Well, we have to look forward. Yeah.
Let's see. Again, thank you to the Milwaukee Journal for putting together a nice collection of statements and tweets. It was nice because they didn't seem to have an editorial slant on that. They just seemed to almost scatter them about. It wasn't, a mixture of, I'll just call it pro and con. Instead, it was just a collection, as it were.
That reminds me, if I could take a little sidetrack for a second, that reminds me of the old days when I delivered the Janesville Gazette as a small boy. And back in those days, newspapers would routinely print statements from lawmakers. They would print the text of any major speech, and it was a really valuable part of the newspaper that I don't know, do they still do that? I don't think they do. It was really easy to find. It's
probably just a link on their website. But yeah, no, that is something that I haven't seen in the PDFs of the papers.
That used to be a very routine thing, just to print verbatim statements and speeches.
Yeah, it actually sometimes can be hard. I'd really enjoyed seeing excerpts of the Pope's speech from a month ago, and it was hard just to find the full text. It takes a little. You would think that would be the first search results.
Yeah, I've done that myself. I've searched for, say, like the text of a State of the Union or something, and I'm thinking, why is this taking me so long? It should just pop up immediately. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a sidetrack.
So, and
Are you going to blow past all the breaks today?
you know what? Let's. Yes, yes is my answer. Yes, 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 yes. No, actually, so we'll take a quick break, and Peter, if you can hang around, that'll be great. Is to keep me on some sort of schedule. It's weird. I literally had not looked up at the clock for a little while, and I see that it's 5:44, and we're in the first break, first segment that ended literally 23 minutes ago. All right, quick break. We'll be right back on Drive Time from River West.